Hey kids, I wanted to take a second here and talk about the text project. Before I start, I really want you to understand what the purpose of this project is. It really has two main overarching goals. The first is that you understand when you print any kind of text, there is one extra step, which is path union. We'll get to that in a second. The second one is that you know how to use the vinyl cutter. This really is the last project before we get into the multicolor project. So I just want to make sure you understand how to use the vinyl cutter. With that being said, how do we do text? Well, it's actually pretty easy. Over here, you're going to find your letter A, which is our text. You click on that, and you can simply start typing anywhere. It does not matter right now about the size. We size everything on the vinyl cutter, so this doesn't matter. This is all personal preference. If it's a little small for you or a little big, just hit the arrow key, and you can drag it to whatever size you like. I usually do something I can see. Really isn't important because, again, you're going to size it at the vinyl cutter. Once you get it to something that you are comfortable with, you need to change the font. How do you do that? Up here under text, the first one down is text and font. When you click on this, this will bring up this box over here. Again, font size doesn't matter, so shrink it down so you can read it. As we talked about in class, there is some fonts you want to stay away from. This is a good example of one. Remember that the knife is going to go along whatever path you create, and you can see this one is very jaggedy. That means you're going to get a very jaggedy print with it. And if you're doing something very small, chances are it won't even print. You also want to stay away from anything that has a lot of curly cues or anything real thin. Generally, when we print our text, it is usually only a ½ inch to an inch tall, very, very small. So these lines end up being about a 1/16 of an inch or less. It is a big headache to fill out. My advice, pick something that is bold. If you look over on the style, you can go through, and most options have a bold style. Not all do, so you can look through. Once you're done with this box, you can close it because you don't need it anymore. We got the font we want. We're ready to print. What do we do next? Well, if you remember, I said there's that one extra step, which is path union. This pretty much just makes sure that all of your lines stay together. How do you do that? Make sure the text is highlighted. Go up to path, and then just hit union. It's going to look like nothing happened, but I promise you something did happen. If you save your text and nothing shows up, chances are you missed a path union step. You still need to save this as any other file. File, save as, find your name or your file location. Remember, this is a DXF. Hit save. Boxes are always unchecked, and hit OK. When your spinning wheel goes away, if you go open recent, you will see you now have font. This looks like any other types of lines we've seen in this class. We can edit it, manipulate it, move it, do whatever we like. Pretty easy. There is just one thing I want to point out here. If you happen to have multiple points of text in your image, you cannot group them all together and path union them. They all have to be done separately. Little tedious, yes, but usually we're only doing a couple lines here and there. Once you got everything the way you want, remember to save, boxes unchecked, and you're ready to print. Remember, I really don't care what you're printing out. You can print out graphic design if you want. I really just want to know that you understand there's an extra step, and it also lets me watch you run the vinyl cutter one last time. And that's really the two things I'm looking for in this project. I hope that helps, kids, and as always, if you have any questions, please come see me.